Every year there's somebody new who steps up for Notre Dame that's seen as a under the radar player before the season started, who makes a name for them by the time the season ends. Like this past year, Joe Alt, he was a fourth string tackle, freshman, and he ended up making a freshman All-American team. And the line wasn't doing too well in the beginning of the season, but when they put in Joe Alt and also Andrew Kristofic, another player nobody was expecting big things out of, the line improved, as well as JD Bertrand on defense. He wasn't expected to get much playing time this year, but with some injuries, he ended up leading the team in tackles. So every year there's different people who step up that us fans are not looking for, but they somehow make a name for themselves. So the three people I got my eye on this year is, the first one is Deion Cozy. I think Deion Cozy is flying under the radar a lot, mostly because Notre Dame didn't do that well recruiting this past year, bringing in new wide receivers. So Deion is going to get a lot of playing time this year, kind of by default. You know, Avery Davis is coming back from injury, as well as Joe Wilkins. We don't know if they're going to be ready to start the season. So with that being said, like, Cozy might end up starting opposite Lorenzo Styles. So we should see there. I actually look forward to seeing him play this year. I actually think he's going to have a big year, so I'm looking forward to seeing him play. My second under the radar player is Kevin Ballman. I know a lot of people might be thinking, like, how in the world is Ballman going to break out when we have probably the best tight end in the nation in Michael Mayer? Well, I think a lot of defenses this year, they're going to really focus on Michael Mayer because we don't have like the big name receiver, so to speak. So Notre Dame likes to play two tight ends. So with George Takis transferring, it's a good chance that Ballman is going to step into that number 2 spot and maybe contribute a little bit more than George Takis did. Takis was more of a blocker. Ballman is more of a receiving threat. So we should see I'm expecting big things from Ballman this year. My third breakout player is Jordan Botelho. I've been a big fan of Jordan since he was in Hawaii as a high schooler. I just love his aggressiveness, his physicality. You know, that's definitely something that we're missing on this team. And he's a splash player too. One of those players that like you see at like Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. I hate watching those teams and see people make splash plays and think that it just doesn't happen enough for us at Notre Dame. I think like a player like Xavier Watts, he makes splash plays too. Like, I don't think he's going to start this year, but Marcus Freeman definitely needs to find a way to get Jordan Botelho on the field this year. If he does and he's unleashed, like, don't give him a lot of things to do. Just let him see ball and go get ball. If he can do that, I think he could have a really big year. So those are my 3 candidates for under the radar players coming up for next season in Notre Dame.